All right. I think people are just streaming in. We'll give it 30 seconds more. All right, folks, hello and welcome to the first Solana India Building Out Loud Hackathon. Thank you so much for making it. We're going to have, you can expect us to have a 1 hour session today, and you all have the agenda. We're running a couple of minutes late, so bear with us. Thanks for joining in. We've had an overwhelming response from the developer community. So, we've had over 4,800 applications for the hackathon in a matter of 3 weeks, with over 400 teams being formed already and 300 individual participants. And so we're very excited for what is, I think, according to DevFolio, the second largest crypto hackathon in India by numbers, right? So we've at least crossed the hurdle on the participation rate, and we're very excited to see what everybody builds. As you're aware, we have a very special guest today. I think everybody may have guessed who it is because he's already on camera right now. So I'm not going to hold back from much else here, and I'll yield the floor to him. So Balaji Srinivasan is an angel investor and entrepreneur. Formerly, he was the CTO of Coinbase and also a GP at Andreessen Horowitz. Before that, he co-founded Earn.com, which was acquired by Coinbase, which is how he went on to become CTO there. Also co-founder of Council, Teleport, and Coin Center, which has played a critical role in lobbying for policy in the US, as you will have seen over the last few weeks. So I'm very excited to have him. He's someone I've learned a lot from and I respect deeply, and has kindly agreed to make time for this. And with that, I'm going to yield the floor to Balaji.
All right, thank you, Akshay. Can you folks hear me? Yes, okay,
yep.
Great. So, I just thought I'd give a few remarks just to motivate, crypto as a whole, where we're at in 2021, and then also India specifically, nothing too major, and then, talk about Solana a little bit. So, crypto as a whole, we've made the analogy to the internet, but the reason that analogy I think is good is that the internet turned all media into packets online. Okay, it made it possible to, copy any kind of information. And so books and movies and music and news, all those things could be represented as packets and sent, received over the internet. And it made it lots of things non-scarce. You could copy all these things. Just copy paste, which we take for granted, is something that the digital representation of information allowed. And copy paste over the network. When you copy paste something into a Google Doc, that's what packet-based transmission allows. And that generic thing of the packet was this huge breakthrough, actually, where you just reduce everything to packets and you compute on it. And so what the blockchain did, what it is doing, what we have realized it has done, is the aspect of the internet that was not there was modeling scarcity natively in a digital way, right? How do you not just copy something from point A to point B, but transfer it, to know that A no longer has possession of it when B does. If you just send somebody an email, A still has a copy of the email, but when you send someone some Bitcoin, they do not, and they provably do not, and they know they do not, and others know they do not. And that was the innovation of the blockchain and this public distributed ledger. And so now that you can digitize scarcity, a whole new class of things become digitizable. If packets let us digitize, the packet online, if that let us digitize books and movies and music and news and all this stuff, the on-chain transaction, as opposed to the online packet, the on-chain transaction allows us to digitize, obviously, gold, like digital gold, but digital stocks, digital bonds, digital loans, digital mortgages, digital this, digital that, right? And not just those basic debits and credits, but every higher order thing that arises from them. So, a collection of debits and credits gives you a general ledger and a chart of accounts from which you can build up financial statements like your balance sheet and your income statement and your cash flow. And then from that, various kinds of reporting and graphs and so on and so forth, right? And then from that, an even higher order data structure is a company. And then a function defined on two companies is like an M&A, okay? And, a company also has other financial data structures like a contract, for example, right? And so from that basic thing of a truly digital debit and credit, we get digital financial statements and digital companies and then digital like conglomerates and so on. That's what's coming. Okay. That's how big the thing is, where just like you go from that individual packet from A to B and you get something like, the YouTube comment section, which if you think about that is a video stream to millions of people or everybody's commenting it on the same time, or something like a Fortnite, which is a real-time video game that's very complicated from a packet standpoint, if you actually think about every packet that's zipping around. But it's this increment up, where in the early 90s, it was just considered remarkable to have the concept of multimedia, right? Multimedia is multiple kinds of media appearing in the same venue, which we totally take for granted now, that you could have an image and a video and a piece of music and a comment and a this and a that all appear in the same place. But beforehand, the music was a record player, and the television was its own device, and a telephone was yet another device, and a book was yet another device, and so on. So multimedia put those things together. We have now is multi-finance. All those things are coming together, right? Everything is there, and things that were previously disparate are now next to each other. And you can of course integrate that with all the internet stuff. So then you get something like NFTs, where you take a tweet and it becomes a piece of art, or you take a domain name and it becomes an NFT, or you take something that's a video game point and it becomes a token, right? And so just once you start conceptualizing that way, that you can basically take every single legacy financial instrument, but not just financial instrument, also financial data structure. Like think of a contract or a company or a conglomerate as these sets of data structures, a financial statements data structure. All that stuff going on chain presents an enormous opportunity. In fact, actually, what you can do is sort of how with Y Combinator, for a long time they just played the game of let's SaaSify, let's put online all these things that were on disk. That is to say, all the desktop apps that were built over the 80s and 90s, the Microsoft Words and Excels and PowerPoints, the QuickBooks, all that type of stuff, just put that stuff online, right? Just put it into the cloud. Why? Because you get collaboration, you get permalinks, you get automatic software updating. And of course, initially the UX actually sucked in the mid 2000s for that stuff, but over time it improved and the JavaScript tooling improved. And those who had the vision realized actually also the economics were better because it was subscription and you didn't have to send out CDs all the time. And there are various kinds of improvements. Now we take that for granted 15, 16 years later, but that was somewhat very non-consensus in like the early mid 2000s, especially the Web 2 era. And now today, basically, you go on disk, then you go online. Now we're on chain. We're in that third era. We're in the Web 3 era. And so a game you can play is to just chainify lots of existing finance, right? And so people, of course, are doing this, but just as you conceptualize that, you have a digital version of Merrill Lynch and a digital version of Wells Fargo and a digital version of every single financial institution. And with a stablecoin, you can build that, by the way. Now, there's all kinds of regulatory issues around this. I'm not saying that those are trivial. In fact, I'll come back to that point. But with a stablecoin, you can build something that looks and functions exactly like the interface of a Wells Fargo or a Merrill or something else. But it just has different assets there, and everything's fully programmable. That's what the blockchain means: is every user is a root user. But by the way, if anybody ever says, "Oh, blockchains are just slow databases," what they are mistaking is they're just thinking about it in terms of number of transactions per second. They're not thinking about it in terms of the number of simultaneous root users. So there's actually, maybe Tamar, you can find this link and paste it into the forum, but there's a post that I have called, Yes, You May Need a Blockchain, which actually goes into depth on this. And you can send this to any of your friends who's skeptical about what blockchains actually do, why they're not just normal databases, not just slow databases, they're massively multiplayer databases where every user is a root user, meaning every user has read access. You can pull every single row. Effectively, you pull every single block in the blockchain. Every user with a coin has write access at the transaction level, and every user with sufficient compute has write access at the block level. Okay, there's no privileged users. The way to think about this is you can't see every row in the PayPal database. You cannot see every row in the Twitter database, but you can for a blockchain, right? So the eras that we're going through, I just talked about decentralized finance, at a high level of financial, stuff. I think there's really three eras of crypto. There's digital gold, decentralized finance, and what we're entering now, which is decentralized media, the third era. And so that's exemplified by Mirror and BitClout and new things that are coming out, Capsule, which I've funded. There's actually quite a few new things. Fred Wilson just wrote an article on this. Packy wrote an article on this. And one important conceptual thing that people got wrong, I think, is they thought, oh, you're going to have blockchains that just do supply chain, but they're not going to have any of this crypto volatility. Actually, no. Yes, they will do supply chains. They will do, video games. They will do all this other stuff, but they will absolutely have that digital asset there, because the way you'll get, for example, blockchain supply chain is people will pay each other back and forth in this environment, and all of the manifest information will be captured as part of that payment. Okay, it's not going to be like some standalone thing. It'll be a consortium of groups, that are using this for payment and so on to reconcile things. And then the metadata just pops out of that because it's easier to collect it within that environment than it is in the legacy environment. And so because of that, the decentralized media stuff is also going to have lots of the concepts from digital gold and decentralized finance as part of it. Now, one thing to think about, and this kind of intersects with India here, is, I had this post from the other day, which was, and then you guys tell me when, you want me to wrap up, but I'll just go another 5 minutes or so. I had this post the other day. Is good? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
So I had this post from the other day, which was, there's three kinds of risk, right? Technical risk, which is, can you build it? Market risk, which is, if we build it, will they buy it? And then political risk, which is, sure, we can build it and we know they will buy it, but will they ban it? Okay. And I'd roughly analogize those, not analogize, I'd roughly assign those to Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 respectively. Web 1 was technical risk. Can we even build this thing? Can we connect all these computers? Can we make these protocols work? Will this thing, will we be able to get fiber and all this stuff, put out there? Web 2 is market risk, where, okay, yeah, we can build it. We've now got the open source stack, the LAMP stack. By the mid 2000s, you could build a lot of stuff, but will people actually use it? They ended up using Facebook and Twitter, and of course, there's a lot of technology there, but a big part of it was market risk. Will this human behavior happen? Will people use, a new consumer app or not? And many of them they did not, but about the ones that they did. And now we're actually in a third era, where the muscles that were built in Web 1 and Web 2 are not as fully applicable, because now we have something where if it's a crypto asset, we know how to build it and we know people will buy it. The market demand is actually there. It's now been there for 10 years. Like, crypto is not a bubble. There's clearly like this untapped, demand for essentially high upside assets. There's lots of reasons for that. You can argue that we're just back to the future. I've got this article that I wrote for sotonye.substack.com. I did an interview with him where I argued that our future is our past, that in many ways we're more similar. The peak centralization moment was 1950 with one telephone company, AT&T, and two superpowers, the US and USSR, and three television stations, ABC, CBS, NBC in the US. And then if you go forward and backward from 1950, you get more decentralized. And that our future is our past, where, we had the private banking era in the past, and we had the digital currencies era in the future. We had the Western frontier in the past, and we have the internet frontier in the future. And so we're more similar to like the 1800s than we are to like the mid 1900s in many ways, because the technology now favors decentralization rather than centralization. And so with that as, kind of a framework, oh boy, I just lost my train for a second. The thing about that is we're going to see lots of different apps doing different things. And if you think about one aspect of that, what it means is that many more countries around the world are going to be involved. And one thing I think about a lot about is that the global founder can do something that Americans and Chinese can't necessarily do. Okay, so as Indians or Eastern Europeans or Brazilians, folks like that, it's actually easier to move around the world and do things. You actually have a genuine change of jurisdiction when you change jurisdictions. And I actually think that this is very underappreciated when it comes to crypto, because in the Web3 era, we can build it and we know people will buy it. But will they ban it, right? So optimizing for political risk as like a first-class thing that you think about, where you pick the right jurisdiction, you are appropriately pseudonymous, you're still abiding by all laws. Don't get me wrong, you're abiding by all laws, you're compliant, but you're choosing whether or not to attract attention. In many ways, if you're 20 something and before you've built a name, I would actually not build your name under your legal name or your state name. I'd only build your name under your pseudonym, because that offers a level of defense, right? It's basically like, just like you separate the office and home at times, you now separate online your work persona from your personal persona, from your, your Instagram persona, from your this persona, from your that persona. And by boxing those things off, right, you have some degree of defense in depth. Okay. So, specifically to India, I think in general that global founder can do something others can't do. They can optimize for that Web3 era of political risk. Specifically to India, as several hundred million people have come online over the last 5 years. And, they are successful in terms of being able to send and receive information. They've got large following, some folks on YouTube and TikTok and, Twitter and what have you. But now with what your guys are building, you can actually connect them to global financial markets, and so somebody who's just a good investor who's in the middle of a village in India can just buy and sell and show their track record, and they can show how much upside they got with, less than $1,000 of funds. And then they can show that portfolio, and maybe they can attract $100,000 again via crypto. Somebody can just deposit that directly overseas into their account. That's what's, I think, going to happen. And so in that sense, like the combination of the internet plus the blockchain is like a skyhook for all of these intelligent people. And you guys can help build that. So, specifically, with the task that, I kind of sponsored here, this combines some of these concepts. So it is basically the idea that the last generation of social media, because of centralized, it wasn't highly programmable. And the new generation with decentralized media is programmable, and specifically with BitClout, which I'm a small investor in, but among many other projects, but I do like it. I like it for what it represents technologically. The entire social network is on chain. You can actually go and clone the BitClout blockchain. There's a set of tools called Clout CLI that allow you to mess around with this. And you can do things like print out every clout, print out the entire social graph, search the social graph and index it, set up a CRM where you're looking for everybody who's liked your clout, and so on and so on, right? So the BitClout blockchain is a programmable social network, a decentralized social network, in a way that Twitter and Facebook aren't, because you cannot do what I just mentioned. You can't just write a script to print out every Twitter and Facebook tweet or view their social graph. That's a private data structure, right? It's API locked. So the goal for today, or for this task, is to take the card format in BitClout and modify it such that you don't just have a clout which is talking about, hey, my name is Joe, and here's a piece of music I just listened to. I mean, that's fine, right? That's an informational one, but turn it into something that actually has a DeFi related call to action. For example, you have a clout, which is a crowdfunding clout. And if it goes viral, people can just tap to add $100 to it. Okay. This kind of functionality, frankly, should have existed on Twitter or on Facebook a long time ago. Basically, all they have, which is actually kind of amazing when you think about it, all you can do is like something, right? You can just send information. What you can't do is you can't send value, because it's not crypto native. So this brings it back to the first point I mentioned. Yes, you can do a like, you can do a retweet. That's just pure information, but you can't do financial actions on cards in a feed. And so what you guys would be implementing when you did this was you'd really pull a piece of the future into the present. You'd show what would happen if we had a feed, which was actually useful, which people could build value in rather than waste time in, right? And we're kind of talking about the transition from a mere social network where you're liking and poking and tweeting at each other to a true digital economy where you're earning, with each other. And, so the way I put it is, the last 15 years, we've been making friends. Well, it's time to screw making friends, start making money. Haha. I'm kidding, but it's, I think it's fun. All right. So with that, why don't I give the microphone over to Akshay? That hopefully motivates this era, what Indians specifically can do, how you've got all this untapped potential. And I think that with these programmable tasks where you can do financial interactions, not simply or programmable clouds rather, where you can do financial interactions, not simply social interactions, I think that'll be a really big deal. All right, let me give the mic back to Akshay.
Balaji, thank you so much for that. I think the special prize, we have more details on the Building Out Loud website, which is buildingoutloud.solana.com. So if you're applying for that specific prize, you'll find more information there. And thank you so much, Balaji, for coming on. I think you've made the days of, even though you can't see the faces of these wonderful engineers, you've really made their days because they've been discussing, the fact that you'd be on the Discord channel and it's been buzzing. So thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time. And I'm now going to invite on our next speaker, who is a good friend and a comedian turned investor, and my partner in crime in Super Pumped, because of whom a lot of you have managed to make your way into crypto. So please welcome, without much ado, Tanmay Bhat.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Where do you go, Akshay? Don't leave me alone.
I'm here.
I'm scared of all the engineers in chat about questions they'll ask me. What's happening? How's it going, guys? Hi, guys. Hi, chat. Hi, Madhavan. Where did Madhavan go? All right. What are we talking about? Akshay, nice to be here. Hi, Tamar. All right. What are we talking about, Akshay? Are we talking about our prize?
Yeah, I think you should go ahead and tell people what our prize is about and why you're excited about crypto, because I think a lot of people want to know that. Now, this is a developer audience, so we can be more, expressive in the way we think about crypto.
Look, I might be too dumb for the developer audience, but in fact, just last night, right? Like, so Balaji spoken about, BitCloud, decentralized Twitter, and the potential of that. Last night, in my own rudimentary way, I was trying to explain this to some of my friends, and I told them saying, hey, if you had access to all of Twitter's data, what would you do, right? So my friend gave a suggestion saying, listen, I would want someone to build a version of Twitter or BitCloud, which is like, I don't want to see anyone who has tweeted more than 5 times a day, because that to me is a signal that, hey, there's something's wrong with this person. So I'd want to build, and then we just spoke for an hour about, hey, what would you build on top of BitCloud, right? And these are, some of my folks, somebody works at an NGO, somebody's a singer, somebody's a musician, and everybody's able to participate. And that's their brains open up the second they realize, hey, if everything's decentralized and you have access to, what could be built, that would be pretty amazing. And me and you have discussed this, Akshay. Like, I have asked dumb questions about what would happen if there was decentralized ride sharing, right? And I believe me and Akshay did an interview with Raj and Anatoly, where I was the dumb person who I asked saying, tell me the benefits of, what happens if there's decentralized ride sharing. And he was like, well, how much % does Uber take right now from both sides, right? From the rider and, from whoever's driving. So the potential is great. I am not nearly as imaginative as some of the folks in chat. But our idea was an on-chain wedding registry. The idea there is pretty simple. I think people crave permanence in many different ways. There are park benches in India named after people who've donated. So, so people crave permanence. And I think we're going to see people I think this behavior is going to exist, which is having your, bond with your significant other cemented forever on chain, because what can be more permanent than being on the blockchain? So to me, that idea was a fairly simple one. I thought you could build something cool. It would be easy for someone to do it. The state doesn't need to be involved, yet you can make your declaration of, your love for someone or your bond with someone permanent. So this was a simple idea. I think there's something very cute that can be made, that can actually go viral if it's built nicely, if it gives the user, something delightful at the very end. In fact, I think the permanence of relationships can go beyond just, an on-chain wedding registry necessarily. I think this core idea can go beyond that. So just go crazy, man. Everybody have fun. Tanmay weds Dolvati. Yes. That's precisely the first wedding. For those who don't know, Tamar, I got married to a sex doll on a vlog recently, and that's what they are talking about for fun. So that one would be one wedding. That would be one wedding I would not put on chain. But thanks, chat, for making this as uncomfortable for me as possible. The two channels meeting in this intersection is going to be awkward every single time, Akshay, I suspect.
Yeah, but I mean, I would encourage people to go check out the Forbes latest cover that talks about the new emerging Wall Street on the internet, which is crypto. And it's just a bunch of, the front page is all the important characters of the new Wall Street. And they're all faces of frogs and cartoons and wazis, which are like a crypto, creature online. And so, like the inanity of the financial internet is profound.
Why do you like this idea, Akshay, wedding registry?
I think there's wedding seasons coming up, and it's I think people will want to post things on their Instagram of how they got married, and I think crypto has over the last 4 or 5 months become cool, and I think this is an insider's cool thing where people start posting it, and everyone starts to wonder, hey, who's this? What is this product about? And I think it's a great way for people to bootstrap a bunch of users and then turn the product into something else if they want to.
Yeah.
So
something eventually, yeah. And look, I'm not a technical person, right? I'm a user who happens to have distribution, so I'm happy to contribute to in any way that I can. But from my understanding, right, like what Solana brings, what was exciting about Solana was that you can create stuff that people are already using as of today. Like when I tell my friends about Web 3.0, there's this element of, I don't want to know, this is like all sounds too scary. Tell me something that I can touch and feel and immediately use. And then I fired up my laptop yesterday and I opened up Phantom, right? And I opened the Phantom wallet and I used it. And they were just like, what? It works like this. Then I explained to them, this wallet will be your gate to Web 3.0, et cetera, et cetera. So, and that moment of, I transferred, one sol from somewhere else and it happened instantaneously. And I said, see, it's not as scary as you think. That you can build stuff that people can use today, which is the experience that they have using Web 2.0 apps today. You can do that on Web 3. So that's the exciting part. So that's why I was bullish on it. So anyone who doesn't have a deeper idea, the wedding registry is for you.
All right. With that, thank you so much, Tanmay, for making time and speaking to the participants. Folks, we're going to keep the show moving. We have two more really important presentations that are critical for your participation in this hackathon. And so I'm going to bring up my colleague and good friend, Tamar, who is the global ecosystem lead for Solana. She's done, she's former early Binance, so she's been in the crypto ecosystem for a long time. She's seen, the Wild West days to now slightly lesser Wild West days. And I've had an incredible time working with her and learning from her through this process. And I'm gonna yield the floor to her so she can explain all the rules about the hackathon that you should already know by now. If you've gone to the website, I know a lot of you may have not. And so we're going to quickly run through that. And Tamar, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm super excited to be here. This has been in preparation for a while now, so finally we are here. As you know, for building out Loud Hackathon, we have two partners locally in India, Superpond, and the second one is Defolio. And Denver from the Defolio team is here with us today as well. So maybe Denver, you can also say a couple of
sentences. Denver, go Denver.
Hey folks, yeah, so glad to be here, and the run up has been amazing. And we at DevFolio are really excited, when young folks discover such things and, just take it away. And, I think personally, I found the marriage registry the wackiest thing, really looking forward to it. And, more cool stuff from this hackathon.
Is your girlfriend putting pressure, Denver? Is that why you're looking forward to the marriage registry?
No, I'm not going to answer that on
okay,
on record, right?
All right.
Thank you very much, Denver. So yeah, I think both partners were super helpful for us to make this hackathon happen. Just wanted to quickly go through the focus on India and why in Solana we think that it's super important for us to be present in India. We think that next generation of applications will be coming out of India, and we really want to be there supporting founders at early stage. We want to dedicate all the resources for this cause. And I think that anyone who is talking about mass adoption, definitely India should be one of the major focus markets for them. From even my previous experiences with Binance and CoinMarketCap, I have seen India being the top 3 markets always for all the big players in crypto. So when we were thinking in Solana how to engage in a right way with the builders in India, we thought that Hackathon was the right way, because you just need the internet connection and you're ready to participate and to start building the global product from day one. So the Hackathon is something that we, Solana, saw a lot of value in. The recent one which we hosted was back in spring, and it was a very successful one, probably one of the biggest ones in the industry, with 13,000 registrations. And at the end of the hackathon in June, we announced 36 winners. And guess what? We already had India track in that hackathon, and we were surprised when we saw that from India, we had 700 applications, and we also had, like at the end, 40 project submissions. 3 of the teams that I'm mentioning on the slide became the winners of the India track, and they are all right now in active like fundraising stage, talking with a global investor network of Solana blockchain. I'm happy with the numbers, because we, as a majority of you know, yesterday we had the deadline for Building Out Loud Hackathon, and we see like total number of the applications being over 3,000, which is an amazing result. We have around 400 teams and over 1,800 individual applications as well. So just through the slides, I want to guide you through the process, like the hackathon timeline and any kind of information that you might find useful in terms of navigating through the hackathon. So today is the kickoff officially of the hacking 3 weeks period. And during those 3 weeks, we are trying to make sure that your experience is as smooth and as inclusive as possible. Next week, we will be hosting a lot of developer-related workshops. Solana developers will come and host a workshop where you can directly engage with them. I would prepare for 16th the questions that you might have regarding the Solana technical side so that they can reply. We will have also next week, the week after, we will have the founders of the Solana ecosystem projects coming from India, speaking on panel about their experience and how it was for them, starting with Solana and how it is for them now while they're raising funds and like scaling their product. And September 3rd is the deadline for the submissions. And then we take 1 week to receive the feedback from the judges, and September 10th will be the results announcement day. I wanted to dedicate one slide just to show you how to plan maybe your 3 weeks. First week, probably I would myself focus more on exploring the Solana stack. This week is mainly for you guys to create the teams and understand what you want to build. Later on, the Folio team will be also sharing with you on Discord channel the Google form where you can submit what you are building to us, and we'll have that information as well. The week 2 is Also very important because this is when you actually receive feedback on your ideas and the mentorship around it. So I think you would definitely want to use the ideas channel on Discord. Please post your ideas, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot of feedback on each of them. And of course, we will host speakers where they will share experience, and we will also have the developer workshop that I mentioned earlier. During week 3, essentially, you will be finalizing your work, and then at the end of week 3, you will be submitting your project through the Folio platform. The question that probably everybody is now having in mind is, what should I build? I think no idea is a bad idea. You should think out of the box. Many applications have been built on Solana so far, but I think Solana is very famous because of DeFi, NFT, gaming directions. So definitely something in that segment is also very interesting. Also, very important like direction for you if you are not sure what you want to develop are also special prices. One of them, Tanmay already described, Balaji also is sponsoring. So please visit our website and you can see the full list of the ideas that have been developed, the special prizes that are there out for you to develop. We were lucky because for this hackathon, we put together amazing panel of judges, both local crypto insiders and also global investors. So that gives you a lot of great exposure locally and globally as well. And also quickly, I want to go through the judging criteria as well. Broadly, we have 4 main focus points. So this, first of all, it's quality, or how creative you have been and original in terms of your idea, and especially if you have a special price and you submit your project there, they will have their own specifications, and we need to understand how well you interpreted their problem statement. The second and important one is implementation, basically meaning that we will look at how well you execute the idea. In crypto industry, very important, and let's say pain point is UI UX design. So I would really focus on making that part as smooth as possible. And of course, future potential of the idea. So we want to see fundable products in the long term, and want to see products that are complementing to Solana ecosystem in general. Sweet part is, of course, prices. We have 2 types of prices for this hackathon. First price is, of course, funded by Solana. We have 3 winners, different price allocation for each of them. The very important one is also Solana Community Choice Award. Once we will be done with receiving the final submissions on 4th of September, please check our website where we will put up the link and you can go and vote for the project that you think is the best. And of course, the special prices section, we already talked about it. I will not go through each and every one of them. Just please visit the website and I'm sure you will have all the information there. Also, after yesterday's numbers, we haven't committed for demo day for this hackathon because we thought that we underestimated the interest, but for sure in the future, once we have the winners and once we understand the long-term commitment, we will be also hosting demo days with international investors for those projects to pitch. Just final suggestions from my end. Go out there, have fun, start building. Don't be shy. Go to the Discord. Discord has all the answers. So please feel free to ask Solana team members, the Folio team members, and also some of our sponsors are there as well. My suggestion, especially for those who are interested with regarding this community choice prize, I would go to Twitter and heavily use Twitter as a tool also to show the community what you are building. And I would use the hashtag so that it's easily identifiable as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you. Have fun, guys. And good luck with finding the right ideas to develop. Thank you.
I think, Tamar, you probably covered everything there is to about the hackathon. And I think, yeah, most other things, everybody can find answers to it on Discord. It's really simple. Like, you start building, and at the end of that, there'll be like cool prizes for you, and we'll have some cool stuff for you even in the future if you want to take your projects ahead, right? So with that, I think we can move on to the next part. So next we have Madhavan.
Hey, yeah, hi, thanks, Denver. It's very humbling to be here amongst the mix of really high-profile speakers today. So I'll try to do justice to my slot here. Very excited to see the large numbers who are showing up here. Very active chat channel already. Super excited to be here. Quick introduction, myself, Madhavan. I'm one of the co-founders of a product called Questbook. We're building a decentralized university where learning is always free. And what we are really committed to is helping developers migrate from Web 2 to Web 3. Right, a lot of people over here, we've been going through the Discord channels. We realized that a lot of people have not had any experience with Solana, have not had a lot of experience with Rust, but are very, very excited to build stuff at this hackathon, right? Like a really cool set of projects have been put up for a bounty. Really cool things can be built using Solana. So I'm really, really excited about what people can do over here. Like Tamar was mentioning a little while earlier, right? That the only thing that you need is an internet connection. I'd probably add to that a little bit. You need a little bit of knowledge around Rust itself, Solana itself, so that you can make the most out of this opportunity that we have in front of us to really make products on the blockchain, on Solana. And that is what I want to help you with. A lot of you might be coming here with little or no experience of Rust and Solana, and I'll quickly show you how you can still navigate your way around in this first week. As you saw Tamar talk about it, right? The first week is more about exploring what Solana itself is, trying to understand what you can do with it before you really double down on your own idea. With that, I'll just quickly share my screen as to how you can get started with Solana. We've actually put in a lot of effort to put together a starting guide for you. We know that there's a lot of material that has been shared already on the Discord servers. But what I wanted to do is like lay out a path so that you need to learn a little bit of Rust, just enough so that you can write some code on Solana, and just enough boilerplate code that we can get you started with so that you can start contributing to the Solana hackathon itself. With that, I'll just share my screen. The thing that you need to do is just go on to questbook.app. Of course, we'll drop this link on our Discord servers as well. Over there, you'll see this Solana hackathon on the top right. Just tap on that. And this is a list that will keep growing over the next few hours, next few days. And it starts from the very, very basics, right? It starts with getting started with Rust. We do not expect you to know any Rust whatsoever. If you are coming into this hackathon with even a little bit of programming experience, it could be on C, it could be on C++, JavaScript, Python, really doesn't matter. If you had any experience with any programming language whatsoever, we will treat that as a great starting point. And we've put together a bunch of videos, which will also be coming soon. It'll keep getting added. So please watch out for the space. It starts with an introduction to Rust itself. We put together a few videos. Of course, everything is free and you can access them at your will. And this is put together by Shreyansh Pandey. Shreyansh has been teaching not just Rust, but like a lot of other programming languages over the last 4 or 5 years now. And you will see that these videos are like really, really high quality. Very, very detailed instruction as to what you need to do, right from installing Rust on your machine all the way to actually compiling the Rust and actually building products on Solana itself. So it's the path is going to be clearly laid out, very easy to follow instructions. Even if you've had like zero experience with Rust, we'll get you to speed. The other thing that I want to walk you through is, okay, now some of you here might already be aware of Rust, might have written a little bit of Rust already. But now how do you get started with Solana, right? Like how do you write some real code? So we've put together another tutorial that is going to walk you through building a dummy app. The dummy app is going to, well, it's not a dummy app. It's going to be a real app that you can actually deploy. The app is going to be a crowdfunding platform, just like Kickstarter that you might have already seen. How do you build that on Solana? And you'll quickly notice that it's much easier to build a Kickstarter-like product on Solana, because you don't have to integrate a payment gateway, you don't have to integrate a database and all that other stuff that you typically need to do when you're trying to set up a product on Web2. So we've put together this tutorial that will guide you through building your first project on Solana, and it's very, very detailed, right? Like you'll see a bunch of subquests over here. You need to do one very, very bite-sized subquest at a time, and we walk you through all the way from why should you even be building on Solana? What does it mean to build on Solana, right? Of course, there are so many products out there, including non-blockchain technologies. You have Python, you have JavaScript, Node.js, whatever you typically use in your projects. Why should you even bother about moving on to a product like Solana? What does it have for you? We start at that level, assuming that you have no idea about not just Solana. We assume that you have no knowledge about anything related to Web3. And you don't know about Ethereum, you don't know about Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. Solana is a great place for us to get started. It's a great technology. And to be really honest, this is a technology that I myself have picked up only very recently. Right, I've been building on Ethereum for a very long time and was exposed to Solana very recently. I was trying to learn the technology and it was really hard. It was really hard to find good material out there, because of which we were talking to Tanmay and Akshay a few days back, and they said, hey, it's very important that people in this hackathon actually have some really good content to get started. I think that is what we've put together. It just doesn't start with, it starts with why should you even build on Solana? We guide you through defining your first data structure. Like what is the exact code that you need to write? We guide you through all of that, very step-by-step approach, and we're going to be available to debug whatever things you run into on Discord. We're going to be available across all the channels that this hackathon itself is being conducted at, and available to chat and resolve all your problems as we go. We'll guide you through your first data structure, writing your logic, and actually all the way to deploying your first contract, actually sending money to and fro from your Solana project. And we cover everything that you will need, at least to build some of the projects that have been put up for a bounty at this hackathon. So that's pretty much it. Just to quickly recap, the thing that you need to do is go on to questbook.app, and you'll see this little button that says Solana Hackathon. That's what you need to tap. And you will have these list of resources that will be populated, and just keep an eye on this. That's it. Like we'll keep adding resources here, and we'll be happy to guide you over the first week to get started, to understand Solana, to get a deeper understanding of what you can build, so that you pick like really, really good ideas in your second week and start building them. With that, I don't want to take too much time like going into exactly what we've put out, but of course everybody is welcome to go check it out. It's very, very bite-sized. You should definitely check it out. And if you have any questions, we are going to be available on the Discord servers. Just drop your questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them. But at the same time, I'll take like 5 minutes or so to see if we have any questions from the audience, so that we can get started on the right footing. And the context for all of this is that like I have made a bunch of mistakes myself while trying to learn Solana, trying to learn Rust in these last few weeks, last few months, and happy to make sure that you don't make those same mistakes. Tamar, is there any specific question that I need to pick? I see a bunch of open questions here. But...
Yeah, like I think a couple of them which you think are the most relevant ones. The rest, we can just answer them on Discord. That's fine.
Sure. I'll just quickly go through the questions.
I think, yeah, I can help you pick them. There's one about if we can handle all the Solana interaction in the backend and connect it to a Web2 layer on the front end?
Yes, yes. I think that's a good question. And yes, we're going to be writing all the code which will be on Solana that will probably lie in the backend by traditional definitions. But at the same time, there is also Solana Web3.js, which is one of the more popular libraries that we'll be using to actually interact with the blockchain itself. So the application that you will build and you will host is going to be built on probably HTML and JavaScript and all those technologies that you might already be very familiar with. But the backend is going to be somewhat different from the normal stack that you might have used. Like you might have probably used Node.js and or whatever, Django and stuff like that. But Solana code in the backend will be a little different. But the front end is more or less the same. Of course, there are going to be a few nuances related to wallets and signing and stuff like that. But those are all things that will be covered in the third quest over here on the screen. That is like sending and receiving money, because that's when we'll be getting into implementing the UI itself. But again, to quickly recap, the front end will be made using your typical front-end technologies, and the back end will probably be a little bit more specific to Solana.
Right. I think that's it. We have some further questions. So everyone, just remember that we'll also have a dedicated session on Monday for this. And till then, the weekend is a good time to catch up, to polish your Rust skills, dive into the resources that we have shared. Also, try some quests. And, I think once you're done with that, any questions you have getting started with Solana, you can take it up on Monday. And also, other than that, I think it's, pretty straightforward. See you all on the Discord.
Thank you, guys. See you all.
Thanks guys. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to what amazing stuff people are building here. Awesome. Thanks.
Sure thing. Thanks, everyone.